You've
I do
full-blown
I do
conversations in
recognize
your
that
head
it can be challenging
to be around you.
to be around me. I just have like this beginning, like it's like there's like so much going on that I sit there and it's like I take a breath and it's just like I can just kind of relax. I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's just
It's
so much
funny.
going on.
Well,
It's
we
funny.
were literally just talking about how when I walked up, you said something like, "Don't worry about it," but like no one was around you, and you hadn't been talking to me prior.
I was talking to myself.
and I was like, "Who are you talking to?" And I'm
Talking
like,
to me.
I know. You've got so much going on. And so you said to other employees in the office, you were like, they get to experience what you experience because I see you talking to yourself all the time.
I would say that
You have
I do
full-blown conversations in
recognize
your
that
head.
it can be challenging
to be around you.
to be around me when I'm thinking and deep in thought.
Which
Because
is
I'm sitting
constant.
there and I'm totally looking at you and shaking my head. And all I see
Sometimes
is this.
but
like
what's
there's
amazing-
nothing that you're saying is coming in. And I am
Oh,
elsewhere.
I know.
And
I
I'm not
know.
on vacation, by the way. Like I am like deep in thought.
Work,
in some other work
conversation.
conversation.
Well, and sometimes it's when the hands get involved too, and you're like,
Well, and the funny thing is that
it's like there's like one.
Bree would say this to me
two.
all the time. She'd be like, "Who you talking to, Dad? Who you yelling at, Dad?" And I'd be like,
That's what I say.
"Yeah," and you say it too. And it's like, I'm like, "Oh, how do you know?" She's like, "It's all over your face and your
All
hands.
over your face. Yeah.
Like you are having a conversation
You
with someone.
you can see like you're like on one point, and then you like kind of nod your head and move to the next.
because they're talking back to me. The voices talk back.
And we'll be checking him
You know what's
into an
interesting is like
institute
whenever I'm
shortly.
getting ready to prepare for a meeting or anything like that, and I'm not sure. This has got to be a trait that a lot of people have. Is I'm literally running scenarios through my head. So they're like I'm saying something, they're responding, so I'm responding as them, and then I'm formulating my response so that I'm very practiced and rehearsed when it happens. So like a great example is like I literally just got off a call. We have probably I don't know a little over a half a dozen distributors for the Dusted Seasoning brand. And it has taken us a long time to grow these partners and get into place. And it's a lot. You get to be so big in order to kind of get there and have it pushed out. Well, we sent one and we did something that we've done for no one, which was we gave them free fills. So it was 100 cases of free fills, like a half case with a little shelf that he'd give away for free. And then they bought 100 cases of product, and the invoice is a little bit over $4,000. And so,
Well, and the reason you decided to do that, which we wouldn't do for everybody, was because it was going to go into like over 100 stores.
It's gonna go into
And
100 stores.
The idea was that,
well, it was one of 300 stores.
right, there was,
So it was the first 100, and we were going to do this PO 3 times.
and the other ones would be paid for, and it's one of these things. So again, it's kind
we
of like
break even.
risk versus reward was like, what is our decision here? Sometimes you have to spend money to make money, and it was like, okay, free visibility,
Right. And when you're a small spice, packing company, and when you're making when you're making $1, $1.50 a bottle, like you got to sell a lot of bottles to.
You're not making $1.50 a bottle.
You think more or less?
Less. Keep going. Anyway.
First of all, I know the numbers. Now, I know what you're going to say and how you're going to approach this. You're going to say, well, we don't because we are literally writing a check to the company every month to cover its expenses. And you are correct. Okay. Because our budget is based off of larger quantity numbers. So you're right. We make 0 per bottle today.
Yeah, because you're not factoring in like all the overhead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the company and
That is part of the cost of the
incubator,
product.
but the incubator absorbs those
That's
as
fine.
future investment.
I was just saying we're not making $1.50
Now, you're right.
bottle.
What we should do is we
It's
should
charged
actually,
$10 bottle. No, I'm kidding.
No, we can't do that.
I'm joking. Anyway, long story short, you had a call with
Anyways,
these people
I've
because
literally
they didn't
rehearsed
pay their
this.
invoice.
So I rehearsed this, right? There's one thing I didn't factor in
Okay.
into this conversation.
Them
I
not
just had.
showing up.
No, they showed up. They showed up.
That'd be
But
funny.
my Korean's a little rusty. So
They only spoke Korean.
no, but he had the thickest Korean accent,
Oh my gosh.
And I'm sitting there like totally focused. I had to put my phone on speakerphone. It's actually when
That's
you came
funny
in the office.
because I don't mean this in a bad way. It's just you have a lot of business conversations with a lot of people in India or Asia, and so
Yeah.
like you can understand them so well. I'm even.
Oh
like,
gosh, I speak Stanny.
yeah, you do.
I speak to all the stands.
I know.
and he does, and
Yeah.
then Indian, dot or feather. Lots of dots.
Stop.
What?
Sometimes you just say things. See, that's a conversation you should have had in your head.
I know. It's bad.
Anyway, so what happened in the end? Did you get paid?
So we are going to find out within 2 days when we will get our check. And I kept it really open. And they were like, oh, there's some miscommunication and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, none on our end. Write me the check, baby.
Yeah.
So
language barrier.
Those are $4,000 orders, but we have a trade show opportunity to get into another 200 stores, and the trade show fee is $2,900 plus all the expenses. And we kind of predicated it off of, well, if we basically, we're basically going to pay them to pay us to pay each other. And so it's like, they're going to put an order in. That order is going to be enough so that it's in stock. We're going to then take the profit that we would have got for that.
Okay. But now you're getting too deep into an individual business conversation.
No, that's what the people want.
The people?
The people want to know what happens in the incubator. Here's the thing. We miss out because we talk a lot about what you're like, can we talk about Summer House now? Like, you want to talk about trade shows. I'm not sorry, not trade shows. You want to talk about
still having that.
What do you call that?
Reality TV.
Yeah, trash TV.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the trash TV, which I'm all about too. But we gotta throw some business in there, and our incubator is all about creating things. So we have to share that with people, because it's not all roses. Everyone who's an entrepreneur knows that you're basically shoveling manure, and you're just trying to get your way out of it. And so you're like, hey, I'm in a manure pit and I'm trying to get to land.
Sounds horrible.
And on the other side of the land, I can see like a Motel 6. And if I can get to the Motel 6, somewhere past there, there's a Hilton.
Is what, a Holiday Inn?
A Hilton. And that Hilton might be on water.
Is there free continental breakfast?
And not the Motel 6.
No,
but that is the entrepreneurial lifestyle.
I have conversations. We were talking about preparing conversations in your head prior. Mm-hmm. And not only do I have conversations in my head, but my problem is that after the conversation finally happens and I've ran it through my head a million times, then I replay reality in my head, wishing I had said or done something differently. Like I come up.
And then you punish yourself for that.
I don't punish myself, but like when you were going for president at the lake.
Yeah. There's like all the things that you could have said.
Well, you and I both prepared, for that. We came prepared, and the community did not know.
Do you know what I prepare for now?
Us. What?
More than anything?
Talking to me?
Yeah. Do you know what I prepare for?
No, I'm saying like talking. That's what I was saying. Your preparation is to come home and speak to me.
Oh, and speak to you.
And delicately.
For real.
With my
because
fragile
you're sitting
infant
there,
emotions.
You're like, what's that? Like that character? It's like the rat character, or like the one's like, it's like one of those like Rugrats.
You did not prepare for this.
Yeah, no, I'm not. It's like, it's like that. It's like that scratchety, ugly cat.
I kind of know what you're talking about.
Do you know what I'm talking about? But, it's pink, like a pinkish blue.
But you're referring to me, so it's not
right.
Nice.
Because at the end of the day, when you're at home with abs, and then you've probably had some adult conversation throughout the day, but you are ready for me to be home and kind of take charge, right? It's kind of like we should have like a meme where like they're passing like the torch, like the Olympics, from one thing to another, and they play like the slow-mo music, and one person's going slow, and it's like and the other person's just reaching out, and it's just like that. Then they zoom in on the handoff. It's
the slow music. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
You know
that's it. Yeah, like that. That is like when I get home. And it's funny is what you said to me the other day. You said, I would really appreciate it if you would, because my man cave is like, you walk in the front door and then there's the man cave. And you're like, I hear you down there, and I hear you like putting things away, and and I want you to come up. And I think you're just like, you've already been at work, like skip the man cave and come straight up for the handoff.
Yeah, I know.
It's like important. The person running with a torch.
But what were you? I thought you were preparing for me, but obviously that was not the correct answer.
No, I prepare for calmness and collectiveness. So the most important thing that I found is like when I'm entering in what I would consider an important plan discussion on something, where I'm either upset or heated, or it's going to be something that's really important, I actually work on being collective. And so a lot of my thoughts and what I'm saying is calming myself down so I don't go ape monkey shit on someone.
Yeah, because that is possible.
No, it's very, look, Army Chris, much different Chris.
Yeah, no, I get the best version.
You got the best version.
Yeah,
right
no,
now.
but Army Chris is in there deep down.
Oh gosh, I pray for moments to unleash the beast.
No, we don't want that.
Yeah, no, I do. It's like, what do we say that? It's like, I have so much suppressed anger. So like, it's like when someone like cuts you off or something, I'm like, I'm just gonna, rip their eyes out.
You've not been upset. I can only count maybe once where I feel like maybe twice. But it is little things. Oh my gosh, sorry. This is so random. One time we were driving down the street and this guy is in this like massive black Escalade and we're on the golf cart and this guy like speeds around us or cuts us off or something. And Chris like freaking takes a back road, cuts this man off in the pass on a golf cart. And he's like, where do you think you're going? He's like, you're driving in downtown Sarasota. Why are you driving so fast? And this guy must have been like, who the fuck is Papa Smurf? It's this blue golf cart.
Are you saying because I got a great beer?
By the way, it just came to me.
Because our golf cart's blue. That's funny. That's pretty funny.
You're cutting off this huge Escalade. He didn't care.
I mean, that guy, and he looked like he was tough or whatever, but I did kind of lay into that guy a little bit,
Yeah, but those are the moments where it's like, why did you just get upset?
I
wanted to look at the guy for speeding and be like, sorry, his Korean distributor didn't pay him today.
My Korean distributor didn't pay me today. I'm upset. No, seriously, that's what happens.
Exactly.
It's like those things build up, and then it's just like this poor old lady who, like, her shopping cart's in the way, and I just can't. It's like that last little straw.
Oh my gosh!
And it tips the back there.
Tips the iceberg.
Yeah.
I know. I
think you just unleashed that on our door here a minute ago.
Oh my gosh!
Slammed it.
Who built this podcast studio anyway?
I built the wall.
We're off
I'll
kilter.
tell you what. Kudos. There are people who
to you.
No. There are people out there, construction workers, and there's rough-in and there's final. I think they call it rough-in and final or finish work.
I have no idea.
And they're each very trades. But I'll tell you what. I mean, these guys they master their craft, and they're great, in the construction field, framers, etc. But if you've ever tried to hang a door, I will tell you, it is a geometric challenge. And what you'll see is like, I make everything so tight and perfect, but they don't. They make it bigger, and then they put these little square pegs and they hammer them in and kind of get it all square. But I don't know if I've ever created a square door.
Yeah, our doors are difficult. Well, so it's funny because I said this is like the opposite of the summer house door. Speaking of my trash TV, no, the front door of the house that they stay in,
they can never
summer
get it
house,
open.
they can never open it. So there's like a million memes online about like getting in the door, and they still hadn't fixed it. And then one day, I think
everyone's
literally
like,
this
"Oh my
season,
gosh,
they
the
fixed
door's
the door."
fixed.
But this door won't shut.
I
So
feel like
it's
there should be
try to
memes.
slam
I feel
it
like there
shut.
should be memes where like they're opening the door and they play like the whoa, like the bright light.
Oh, yeah,
like
where it
hallelujah
opens.
music and
Yeah.
everything. Because everyone made a comment. They're like, "Whoa, the door's fixed."
I know.
You know?
Everyone knew. It was so funny.
And people are like falling through it because they were so used to pushing on it hard,
Right.
And now they're just kind of, you can kind of see them
Well,
losing
if you
their...
weren't expecting it, yeah.
You're not
when there's
expecting it.
tension and then there's not.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of tension.
It's a shock to the system.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So we've had a couple interesting things happen in the office. We we got one of our emails shut down by Google.
Oh, yeah, that was unfortunate.
And fortunately, it was only for a day. So
Oh, it was? Okay.
It was like a day or two.
That's good.
And
it is
rectified the situation.
It's very important in general to be careful about your email practices. I mean, I come from a lifetime.
Marketing.
I say a lifetime of marketing. It has been half my lifetime.
Were you sending out emails from Jimmy John's?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I was marketing there.
Were you? You were. I remember you coming up with sandwiches.
I never came up to you
Look,
with sandwiches.
okay. Yes, you did.
First of all, yes, I worked at Jimmy John's. Okay. Second of all, I was one of their best employees. They wanted to give me the location to manage. They literally did
That's
want to give me
amazing.
their franchise. Okay. And third of all, I was offered a management position there and I chose not to take it, where I then fell into my career in marketing. But
Because
I
it
was doing
okay,
sample
all right.
sandwiches to hand them out for free. I was going into offices and I was
I
like,
know. My office
"Hi."
was on the 5th floor of your building.
Yeah, I probably did bring you a sandwich one day.
Trust me, I remember
We didn't
you.
know each other then, but he swears I moved to Sarasota originally to go to Moat Marine and save the sea turtles. And so I was finding sea turtle nests, and he swears he knew me as the turtle girl at Moat Marine, and then
did.
he swears he knew me as the sandwich girl at Jimmy John's. Anyway,
Because
we
you
met
came
later.
to the 5th floor and you had sandwiches, and I remember sitting there, and Chris Horlocker, who's an attorney in my office, and we're friends, and he would message me and he'd be like, "Hey, the sandwich girl's here."
The hot sandwich girl is here.
He did say that. He was like, the hot. Hey, that's why we came up. It wasn't for the sandwich. It
I was
to
a
see the- it was
child.
to see the hot.
I was a
sandwich
child.
girl.
No, I wasn't a child.
What year was that?
I was a young adult. 2011.
2011.
Yeah.
Wow, 14 years ago. We met 14 years ago
When I was slanging Sammys.
when you were slinging Sammys.
I'm telling you, that's
Yeah.
good stuff. But what happened in the office here? Some interesting happenings in the office here.
Well, I don't know. You just caught me. You caught me off guard.
How did we get? Because marketing, the email. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
the
like, can we
emails.
stop talking about my past?
Can we stop talking about this? I'm just like so hungry right
I
now.
had to change. This. Oh my god, I have to get blood work done
I
at
could
3
totally go
o'clock
for a
today.
Jimmy John's.
I have to fast until after my blood work at 3 p.m.
Yeah. By the way, Jimmy John's
He
goes so
doesn't care.
fast. They they go so
Freaky fast.
They go so freaky fast.
Oh my God,
that
sorry.
they
So this is so
leave out
funny.
things.
First of all, no one who currently works at this Jimmy John's location knows that I used to work there. They don't know me. It's not the same people. Trust me, the turnover in that place is like just about as quick as a door swinging open
As
and
fast,
shut.
freaky fast. Is there turnover freaky fast?
It is freaky fast. It's the turnover at a sandwich shop. But I called. So Jimmy John's was my first meal. I don't think
first
we
of all,
ever. No,
before
I've
you
got to
go-
tell this
okay,
story.
tell it. I'm going to forget what I'm going to say. But I go in there and I'm like, you know why they have fast turnover? It's because there's like 5 of them, and it's like I'm the mayo man. Like, you know, it's like I'm the lettuce girl. Like if you at least had creativity to be like the entire sandwich person, but you don't.
Well, sometimes
It literally
you do.
passes
I
along the
know.
line, and
I
it's like
know.
fast, and it's like, what do? I slather mustard. Like literally, if you're doing that all day, I'm certainly they go in, they go, you know what? I thought I was gonna be a sandwich artist, and now I'm just
No,
a mayo
sometimes
slinger.
you make the whole sandwich.
Right on the odd hours, but at lunchtime, it's like you're a tomato man.
You're
You know,
anyway. So
and you know I'm telling the truth here.
I do know you're telling the
Okay.
truth. I used to be on meats. Okay. Listen though. So okay. So this is actually really funny. I don't think we've
my
shared this on the podcast. I don't know why we're talking about Jimmy John's today, but we are. So after I had Abigail, I'm not allowed to have cold cuts. I'm sure I could have, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So my first meal, okay,
Was Jimmy John's.
after I had the baby was going to be Jimmy John's for a sandwich.
Yeah.
And we were going to go pick it up. You picked it up. I actually do blame you. But
Oh, I remember
so
this now.
anyway, he forgot a sandwich.
No, I did not forget the sandwich.
He
They
probably
forgot to
left
put
an
the
entire
sandwich in.
bag on the counter that also had a tag on it. But anyway, he forgot a sandwich, and I was so upset that I called, and I thought they would care, but they didn't. And I was just like, yo, this is my first meal after having a child, okay? I've waited 9 months for this, even though it was only 7. And I was like, excuse me, you know, I wanted them to just deliver the sandwich. They wouldn't come
Right.
to the hospital with the sandwich. We were still in the hospital. By the way, it was my dad's sandwich, but it was the principal. Okay.
Right.
And
they're
so
like-
then,
and by the way, you offered half of my sandwich.
look, that's the kind they wanted. I said you
know.
could then have half of mine.
I'm
Anyway,
totally okay with it.
Okay, so here's the deal. Okay, so they said, no, we're going to give you a credit. Like, we can't deliver to the hospital. We can't fix it. We're going to give you a credit.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they give me a credit and they go, probably won't show up on the app, but if you call, you'll be able to use it. So a couple weeks pass and I'm like, I'd love a sandwich. I'm home with an infant. I can walk and go get it. So I call, long story short, not only do they not have credit on my account with my
Yeah.
name, the manager who worked that day, because I
Yeah.
knew what day it was because we had a child, the manager who worked that day was like, don't remember the conversation, never talked to the girl, like literally. And I'm like, you got to get yourself a new manager because
Yeah.
like, how do you forget a woman who's like, I just had a baby but anyway, still. So then the woman says, and what's the name on your account or whatever? And so when I give her the name, I was like, oh, first and last name. And she was like, the Ice Princess of, she like repeated it back to me and she was like, the Ice Princess of Poop Trail or something. And I was like, I literally was like, we were like talking in tongue in cheek. And I literally said, I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, did you just call me the Ice Princess? And she was like, I'm really sorry. That's what's on your account here. Because I gave my phone number and I was like, my account says the Ice Princess of Poop Trail. And she was like, yeah, I can change that if you'd like. And I was
Do you
like,
think an employee did that?
yes.
That is so mean.
It's horrible.
Could you see it in the app?
No, no.
Oh my gosh. That is bad.
I know. So then she was
Maybe
like,
that's like code for you. I am not even anymore. Serious. Your account, we're going to use my account because they're probably, that's how you get saliva
dude.
and dirty hands.
No, some went down. And I wasn't even rude to them.
Oh, gosh.
Anyway, I know the owner of that franchise and I have half a heart to call him
You should.
and be like, yo, your manager forgot my phone call, but yet remembered to rename
change your
my
name
account.
to Poop Avenue. I'm telling you, that's code for sling your,
I know.
drag your little.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
gosh,
It's
man.
all very
I
upsetting.
wish you wouldn't have told that story.
No, it's horrible.
I mean, it's a great story.
By
I
the
mean,
way, I've told you that before, and you're acting like it's the first time you've heard it.
it's the first time I remember it.
Were you having a conversation with someone else at the time?
Probably.
No,
And
you said
speaking of
at the
which,
time. You actually cared. You
it
said that
your-
was
it
really
we
bad
missed
of
your
them.
dad's sandwich, and we did split up the sandwiches. But your parents are amazing because whenever we have dinner there, they almost always we usually have leftovers, and they're like, hey Chris, would you like some? I'm like, heck yeah, and you're like, he doesn't need your leftovers, and I'm like, when they ask you, like, I don't want leftovers.
They stopped asking me.
I know. And then they just come to me. And then you try to block your leftover blocker because you try to block them. And then when I finally
No one
wrestle
wants
them out
leftovers.
and get them home, I come in and you're like, oh, yeah, I ate half the chili.
Because that's
Oh,
why I don't want. No,
ate half
I like the
chicken.
chili. I like the chili.
Oh, I ate half of
I hate
the
leftovers.
things.
Because I don't like seeing things in our fridge. Okay?
So you eat them?
No?
You know what you are? You're the office lunch stealer.
No, I'm not. Oh my God. This is the funniest story, too. I don't know where you're coming up with these good things today. So in my first.
We have no notes.
In my. No notes. That's like. We're using it legitimately, but that is like the best saying right now. No notes. Like, no notes are necessary. But okay. So great story.
Yeah.
Did I already tell this? I don't know. I don't know.
Was I
Did I
listening?
tell this story about an office lunch fiasco? First of all, don't ever bring fish to an office. That's a huge no-no. Don't be
Yes.
that person.
Or curry.
So when I worked at my first corporate job, which was the job that I chose over being a franchise manager at Jimmy John's, and when I took that job, I worked alongside this guy and he was amazing and he loved pizza. When I tell you he had a love for pizza, I mean, we would all go out to lunch as a team on Fridays. And if he was coming, we could only go get pizza. It had to be the place that offered the white sauce, like very particular about his pizza. And so apparently one day he had leftover pizza in the fridge
Okay.
and somebody ate it.
Okay.
And I shit you not, he sent a company-wide email. This is the nicest man. You've literally never heard a bad word come out of his mouth. And the subject line said, "What asshole ate my pizza?" And in the email was a picture of him with his middle finger up. And it was like a diatribe on how special his pizza was to him. And literally
That had to be
management,
hilarious.
oh, it was so funny. And management was like, dude, you can't do that. So anyway,
I would sit there, like, obviously that's something that can't happen all the time, but that's how company lore is created.
No.
Like, do you remember that time back in like
well, and
21?
this is, trust me, anyone listening from my old job would 100% be like, that was this person. Remember that was
right.
it was
like
Pizzagate.
that's Pizzagate.
It was
Like you
Pizzagate.
remember the day, and like because people have moments, and I think we all have to just let that happen.
Well, it's so funny because when I was a
Like
kid,
you can't punish that.
we went to
do you punish
Applebee's
that?
when I was like 10 years old and I brought home half a burger and my dad
yeah.
ate it the next day. And I mean, I cried.
Yeah, you were
I'm
upset.
pretty sure
I mean,
I
you got brought up
sobbed.
at like a family holiday.
I was
not
like,
too long
it was
ago.
the best burger of my life. I mean, an Applebee's
Trust me,
burger.
that burger wasn't that great the next day.
Trust me, I know.
I mean, I'm sure your dad enjoyed it, but like, I'm just letting you know that Applebee's burger
and he enjoyed hearing about it for the next 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, he's heard about that. And the funny thing is, I think you get to a certain age where you sit there and you go, "Oh, really? That happened?" Like, it's such a non-event in
I
their
literally
life.
wouldn't step foot in an Applebee's today, let alone eat their meat. But
I love that song where it's like the milkshake and the date
brings
night.
all the boys to the yard.
No, it's like a date night to Applebee's, Oreo shake.
Oh, because I know what you're talking about, the country song.
The country song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two very different milkshakes.
Anyways.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Your family came to the lake this weekend.
Yeah, we had,
Which is not
actually,
business related.
We had actually had a full long weekend this weekend.
Yeah,
at
we
the
met
lake.
Bree's dog,
Yeah,
Mabel.
Bree and Caleb drove down.
Yeah, which was so nice.
brought
They met
the dog.
Abigail
They
for the
brought
first time.
Abigail, which is nice.
Your sister came.
Sister
with
came
her
in town.
kiddo.
Mom came. It was almost a full-fledged Abbott family.
Almost an
gathering.
extravaganza.
It was almost an extravaganza.
Yes, it was a woman extravaganza. You
Yeah,
were
it was
really the
definitely
only
all
man
the-
there. Did you just realize that?
No, Caleb was there.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Caleb.
I sat there for a second and I almost made a joke. Like, that's one of those moments.
No.
And they'll appreciate this because you teed me up, right?
I did tee you up. You didn't take it.
First of
You
all,
didn't take it.
I would always.
I was not intentional.
I am always very respectful and do that. But when there's opportunities like that, you saw the look in my face. I paused, and I was literally like Doctor Strange in Avengers, and I'm like looking at all 3 million combinations of what possibly I could do to burn Caleb.
But we did not. We chose not
And
to.
I
It was just a
paused,
mistake.
and I just said, "There's only one that doesn't burn Caleb, so I'm going to go for it." And that's to say nothing. So
Oh my god,
that's hilarious.
That is hilarious. What I meant is that aside from Caleb, your mom and Stephanie did not bring their significant others.
That is correct.
Who are men?
Yes, yeah, airmen.
Anyway, but yeah, your mom came grocery.
One's so manly, he doesn't wear a shirt. So
Literally never has a shirt on. No, but your mom came to the grocery store with me to grab stuff to make sandwiches for the day.
Yeah.
And literally, I mean, I love shopping with your mother-in-law.
first of all, I think we both got a shock. So you got the shock at the store because
Okay.
you were with her. So
Okay.
go ahead and say.
Oh, I was gonna
got
say-
shocked back at the place because I pulled him out of the bag.
Okay, so she's like walking down the aisles and she's like, "Oh, I don't eat the buns on the sandwiches or the bread, so I can have chips." And I'm like, "Oh, that's fine." So she's got like, I mean, we're talking bags of chips. She was very sweet. She was like, got potato salad and pasta salad. She's like, getting all the goodies for everyone to eat at the house.
was.
It was
It was
so
awesome.
sweet. And she was like, "I've got the cart. Like, I'm going to get all this stuff." She got cookies. And I was like,
And then
"Oh
she
my
would
gosh,
disappear.
you're going to buy the whole entire store." So the next time I see her, I don't have the cart. So I'm like shopping with my arms, trying to
Yeah.
find her in the store. I turn the corner. I find her on the bottom of the cart are bones. When I tell you they are the size of the cart,
No,
the
they're like
width of the
leg.
cart.
They're like leg bones.
They're literally like
human
a
leg
fem-
bones.
And I'm like, where did this woman find
First of
these
all,
bones?
I've never
in
seen
public?
bones like this in public.
She literally must have gone in the back to the butcher and been like,
Seriously.
No, I don't know where
And she was
went.
like, "Hey, do you have any human leg bones?" And they were like,
No,
"Yeah."
and they were like, "Actually, I'm so glad you
Yeah,
asked."
they're
And,
freshly
yeah,
wrapped.
only people ask.
When I pulled them out of the thing, I like had a blank look.
I
I was
looked
like,
at her.
"What is this?" She
I
goes,
was like-
and she looked at me. She goes, "You can put." Literally, she's like, "You can put those in the freezer." I'm like, she said it in like this super creepy
Maria's
voice, and
looking
I'm
at
like,
us with wide eyes going, "What the hell are the bones for?" Anyway,
They're for
she
her
was
dog.
like, "They're really hard to find in Naples." I was like, "Oh, they don't carry human bones in the Naples Publix?" Like,
seriously. It was
anyway,
freaky.
she said her dog was going to be very excited, and I literally said to her, "I was like, do not
Oh, by the
forget
way, they
to
were
bring
like
those
$9
bones home
a
with you."
package.
Well, anyway, I'm sure there's a lot of people in this world that would love to use those for bone broth because the bone marrow on the
That's
inside is
definitely
probably
what
amazing.
it's got to be for.
But I was shocked. There I am, just trying to buy some lunch meat.
Well, what
and we've got
also
bones
is
the
that
size of our
the days
body.
of butchering has like changed a lot, right? So like it used to be like there were days when you could walk into Publix and you would go to the back and you would see
A cow.
cows hanging and they butchered
Cows
Like,
hanging?
yes, yeah,
Really?
half a cow hanging, and they would literally butcher the animals. And all your butcher shops, you'd see the carcasses in the back.
Well, you could still in butcher
Nah,
shops.
not anymore. Now everything's coming in. They're prepackaged and they're deboned and they're prepped into smaller containers. that are then might be sliced a little bit.
Yeah.
So they might get like,
like
let's say, a
butcher
back strip or something, and then slice it into fillets or.
But when we go to like Butcher's Block or something, they do have.
Yeah, but that's an actual butcher shop.
That's what I'm saying.
talking about
like a grocery
Publix,
store.
like the grocery stores that moved away from
things change.
full-on butchering. So the fact that they had bones at Publix, I thought was
Impressive.
I mean, that's a word.
Well, the butcher just obviously sent the human bones.
I don't know.
Anyway, it was a great weekend.
It was a fun weekend. And then I don't know why I have a note here, but I have cleaners down for the lake, but I don't have any other note there. But I
swear if that's your thing to like remember.
to pay the cleaners.
Like talking about conversations in his head. He was like doing things while he was typing notes for the podcast and he was like, pay cleaners.
Pay cleaners.
And then it's like, oops, it's on this.
What's
no,
really
I know,
funny
I
is
know
that
why
right
it's there.
before I made these
we got
notes,
another unit and it's like people can stay for free. The only thing we expect them to do is pay the cleaning fee.
Yeah, that'd be nice if people pay the cleaning fee.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
Our Venmo is.
Yeah, our Venmo is. You got my Venmo.
But before we walked in here, we were asking the office what worldly news they thought was going on, and we got a new client. And I said what office news or business news is the word that I use.
Business news.
And Megan right away started talking about our business, which is great. She's invested. I said I meant in the world, but she said we got a new client.
Yes, we did. And you know what? This particular client, it's interesting because like people, there's people have different ticket prices, right? And so in the software world is our largest ticket offerings.
Yeah.
Because we're building platform software and we're talking 6-figure contracts, annually, and they take time to nurture. And I think a lot of times as you're building a business, the hardest part is getting those initial contracts in to build the revenue to cover your most expensive piece, which is actually your team members, right? And bringing people is our most expensive thing. And I was actually talking with our lead developer over in Pakistan because we're actually opening up an office in Multan. And he was asking for some clarity on it because I brought it up again in our conversation with the team. He's like, yeah, I just need to understand the time frame. And I told him, I was like, the worst thing ever for me is, if we lose a big contract, for me to say, hey, you guys can't be in that office because I'll have to you got to do something, right? I never want to let go of a person. So we're going to let go of other things. And the first thing to go on your side would be your office.
The physical office.
And
it doesn't mean all the people go with it. It's just the overhead cost of the rent.
Right. So everyone goes back home. And I was like, you don't want to do that. And then I was explaining to him, like, when I started this company, and I got this office, you remember that because this was only 2 years ago, right? And I like pulled the trigger on the office and I was like, should we do it? And this office is relatively inexpensive for, town but it's not inconsequential.
Yeah, no, it's not.
And matter of fact, this office is more than our mortgage.
Yeah, our house.
Yeah. And so the idea of having these costs and then knowing that you have to pay these is a big deal. So we need contracts that are like our lifeblood.
Well, and when
the
you're
incubator.
selling something, to your point, like a service, it's a much longer sales cycle.
It's
not
a longer
not like a
sales
pool
cycle.
cleaning, but like hey, this is going to be a 3-4 month service.
Like
we're
you're
going to build
writing
the software.
checks
Yes,
for hundreds of thousands
we
of
are
dollars.
creating you a proprietary software.
We are core. We are tied in.
Right.
We are being compared to other platforms and other people here in town. And it's interesting because I learned about other people who turned down the work, and I also know kind of where they are paying and pricing. And it's really good to kind of know where your competitors sit and where you sit. We're actually a great value for what you get. But it's also because I really lean towards that startup mentality, or companies that are looking to, to build something. Now they might look at us and be like, yeah, you guys are expensive. And I go, yeah, but we're expensive because you're new to this kind of thought and process. But the reality is that we are great value for the fact that you're going to get a delivered product.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, everyone needs a product.
Well, and the other
delivered.
thing is that you can deliver. I hate to say it like this, but proprietary softwares and what people need, how you build it and what you do. It's like everyone sits there and says, yes, I can do that. But everyone wants something different. And the reality is that the minute you start, oftentimes you're like, oh, what you're asking for is actually harder to do than we originally thought. Or they try to over-engineer
so much
or
scope scope
creep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because every little feature button, I mean, you name it,
It's
navigation,
hours to
yes,
just keep doing
functionality,
things.
calculations, whatever it may be, but it's like it ends up getting crazy. And certain people in teams, they can't build it. We've been in corporations before where you've been responsible for bringing product to market, and it's happened. And I've been in organizations before with other, technology leaders, and the products just never come because
They never come.
it's scope creep, it's requirements, it's understanding, and it's a transition. This is what's also really hard is you need the adoption. So it's like, well, you can build something. If it's brand spanking new, still hard to build something. But if it's transitioning from something that currently exists and you need to like match functionality or transition over, or if there's clients involved that are already utilizing a system that needs to transition over, like those are huge deals. We have one client where it is like, okay, there are going to be people, their business depends on logging into this software. We can't mess it up,
Well, it's actually really exciting because one of our newest clients, they've been with us for probably about 6-8 months, and their product's in the market. Their company's using it actively to run their business. And we were logging in and looking at a handful of things, and he's like, "Oh, like literally, I think on the 24th,
in real time, yeah.
Like there's a new client where his free trial switches over, and he's actively using it. So it's like this is a pretty much guaranteed,
right?"
And I looked at him too. It was a funny thing. I go, "Dude, that's going to be awesome. That means you're going to have 3 paying clients, and that's going to cover your entire hosting." The infrastructure
fees,
bill,
yeah.
not our cost yet, but the hosting portion of this is going to be covered. And 2 things happened. It was like that celebration, and he looked at me and goes, "I pay hosting fees." I was like, "Yes, you get billed quite a bit, for that.
It's not free. These things don't just live in the cloud for free.
We cover everyone's dev costs as part of our development portion,
right?
But when it goes to production, you're paying for your production fees.
Yeah.
So,
but it's a big deal, and that's part of it too. We were talking about the email getting blocked on Google for a day earlier, and these are just like all lessons in business where the sales cycle is long. That's what we were talking about, using a tool like HubSpot, which I'm a huge fan of, but any sort of marketing automation tool that allows for you to let the tool showcase kind of the engagement of the individuals that you have within. So it's like you've got an audience. If you're going to start serving them information, are they interested? Are they engaging? Are you bombarding them? Can you set workflows and delays where they're only receiving emails if they engage and it's so many days later, or whatever it may be? You can start profiling people. Having a CRM and a system is super important, but again, all costs to a business. So
right. Yeah.
It's but the reputation of a domain, and your domain authority. I mean, I've worked with big companies in the title industry before. One of the leaders actually in the title company that always was really great at what they were doing, like their role in the title industry, and marketing obviously wasn't their strong suit at first. They hired a lot of people after the fact that were brilliant at what they did, but the domain authority had already been really
destroyed.
Hurt.
Yeah.
And it was over the course of
hiring
time,
to
they
bring
started
someone in.
asking like volunteers, to then send emails from their own personal email addresses to like get messages out, because all the emails were just going in trash. It was like spam.
Right. Yeah, that's extremely hard.
So it's hard to come back from.
It's hard to come back from, for sure. And
but we're looking at getting a marketer in.
Yeah, we're actually
since
have a
apparently
role in.
I'm just the event coordinator, which I believe I'll lose that title too once this.
No, you're definitely HR, and you're HR operations,
people and
strategic.
culture.
Maybe I'll make it strategic. Strategic officer.
Yeah.
Anyways, I mean, you provide a lot of amazing value.
My title
to the
could be
company.
boss bitch. I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, I would like that title actually sometimes. So I don't get that title.
I will call you boss bitch any day.
Oh, thank you. It reminds me of like Zuckerberg when he went in, and it's immortalized in the social, whatever that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
When he went to get capital, and I can't remember who he met with, but he showed up in basically a bathrobe, and his card was just like, "I'm CEO, bitch." And
is that what it said?
Yeah, something like that.
Zuckerberg has come a long way.
Oh yes, like I mean, I'll tell you what. Like
he's different
I would
than
love
the young
to,
kid
I'm
he
never
was.
really. I'm not really. It's so amazing how many people are enamored with Silicon Valley and they want to be. Matter of fact, the last event, people were like, literally, like I think we can make this. One of the next Silicon. I'm like, why? Like we live in Sarasota. It's beautiful. Like why is there an obsession with being the Valley? And the reality is like, hey, just work hard and worry about like these people are so like trying to create the sense of something. It's like, I guarantee you 30 years ago, they didn't sit there and go, you know what, we're gonna make the valley the valley. Like there wasn't this idea. They just worked hard and did it. And all these people want to be that versus just kind of being themselves. A lot of cities in Texas, they're all about being themselves. You know, like Austin is Austin. Like you don't sit there and people in Austin aren't going, we're going to be the next Silicon Valley.
They are though.
But right, because they focused on just being them.
Right.
And same thing with
They're
Vegas.
keeping it weird.
Vegas is like, you know what? Let's just create a really cool, tech area in here. And that was really a lot of
Well, and I think so.
Zappos work over in that area.
I know.
And then
it's so sad.
Tony.
It is really
Yeah,
sad.
I think we talked about Tony
He was too young.
last
I think
year.
we did. But I was just gonna say, the reality is tech is the future, and young people want to work in tech. And
The problem is tech shouldn't be the future. Like it because here's the thing.
You don't consider AI tech?
Okay, let me frame it, right?
Okay.
That is already the future. That is already
Well, that's
happening.
the present, I suppose.
But if you want to have money, you don't get in tech. You become a plumber and open up a
I
plumbing
know
company.
you've talked about that.
You be a roofer.
Well, and what's crazy,
and then use technology
all
to
I
make
was
your
gonna say-
company the best company it can
Yes.
be, because all these people in tech, I'm telling you, salaries are going to start getting depressed in tech because the amount of AI, I'll tell you what,
I know,
if
we
you
talk
if
about it
you are a
every week.
designer, if you are someone who does marketing, if you are a programmer, if you're any of these things, AI is coming after your job. Now, the smart ones are going to sit there and learn how to supplement and use AI to basically do a lot of the grunt work. But it's going to be what I would call either the innovators or the creatives that have the reasoning ability to understand what AI should make,
what it's capable of.
what it's capable of.
Yeah.
They're going to survive. If you are a trading an hour, if you are a mediocre designer, you're toast. You're
I
gone.
know. It's a bad time to kind of, I not that I'm not plugged into the business because I do still come in a couple days a week, but I was going to say it's a bad time to be like in my motherhood era, because I feel like literally from the time I left like the corporate world full time to when I'll return, I'll be like, what the just happened?
No, seriously.
I mean, I kind of know, but it's, yeah.
And there's some like old tried and true things. And I think we talked about this like a couple weeks ago. Like I'm sitting here looking at what we're up to and what we're doing. And I'm going, are we setting ourselves up for success? Right. Because tech is a huge piece of where we make our money today. But I'm not sure if that's going to continue for, say, the next 5, 10 years.
Who knows? But all I meant was when you're saying you want to be the next Silicon Valley, and no, we don't need to be that, but I think they want to bring young people in. The reality is that it is, when you look at people and you're like, how did you make your fortune? It's either entrepreneurship or, which also this next one, which is real estate, is essentially entrepreneurship because you're kind of buying and selling real estate. Like that is your own business. Like that's what you've turned into your, empire. But I think that a lot of it is that they want the younger generation to move here and
Almost
live in
all wealth
Sarasota.
building that's not passed down
Generational.
or inherited or generational is created from building a business and exiting that business.
Right. And we have a lot of wealth in Sarasota, just like California has a lot of wealth.
We do.
But I think that the majority of that comes from an older generation of people who were entrepreneurs.
And a lot of these people, they like to think, and I'll say this, and I say this to pretty much anyone. I think a lot of people would agree with me. There's a lot of people who want to play investor or play advisor and stuff. But when you've already kind of made your money and you're retired, you are just, a good majority of them are just playing around, and they like to be in the social circles and be called an investor. And they sit there and they're
When
like,
they're
and they're
done.
being picky, and they're like, oh, this doesn't fit my criteria. And it's like, that's a very easy out to never invest and do anything.
Right.
There are a handful of very well-respected people in town who do invest, and I know a handful of them. But I
we
would
had
tell
younger
you,
people that were coming here, and when the cost of living went up, it's
we're
like
building so many apartments and other stuff here.
we
at low
are. I
cost.
just feel like the younger generations.
I mean, we're trying
dwindled over
we
the
are
last
trying
couple
to
of
actively
years.
recruit Bree to come here, right?
Yeah.
And part of it is because, I would like to see her. And I want her to be a part of our lives. She's up in the Panhandle. That's 9 hours away. She's talked about moving to Orlando. That's 2.5 hours away, and which is nice. I can live with Orlando all day long. But I also see a huge potential for her in the company. And one of the biggest gifts that I do believe that I can pass on to her, other than the fact of being the most amazing, loving father on the planet, is setting herself up to be successful in the world and in business and in finance so that she can take care of herself.
And Sarasota's a good place for that.
And Sarasota's a great place for that. And I think we have enough work in this company to bring her on. She'll get no special treatment. But you're just talking about
bringing the younger generation, but you didn't say Sarasota, you said Bradenton. And a lot of the younger generation has gone into like the Bradenton area.
There's so much opportunity though in South Sarasota. Or even out east. Now, out east where Lakewood Ranch is and some of these $1 million homes, like, yeah, I sit there and wonder.
There was a home. Sorry, we didn't talk about this yet. So was it the third largest sale? The Naples home.
That's the largest sale.
In the United States?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
The number one largest sale?
The number one largest
sale.
sale.
So what's insane is Chris's mother.
It's like $300 million for 9 acres in Naples on the beach.
Which is amazing.
And that was Mr. D's house.
So Chris's mom used to work for the guy that owned and lived in the house.
Yeah, my mom was the private nurse there and literally had her own house on the property on the beach.
She like traveled the world with him and like
he had like a 130-foot yacht. He had a private jet.
So she knows this house and the grounds like the back of her hand. And it's so wild to sit there and be like, you've been on this property.
Yeah.
And
it's
it was,
amazing.
I mean, it is amazing.
I've been on the property. I was invited over and I got to hang out with him a little bit. I had a great conversation.
See, I missed out. I was slinging sandwiches when you were at Mr. D's.
And I'm at Mr. D's.
I know.
So, yeah, he owns David John's.
Oh my gosh, 46 minutes. I got to go to my appointment.
Yeah, you got to get out of here.
We've got to cut this off.
I'll tell you what, for no notes, we actually filled the time up. We're actually pretty good at just.
We don't need notes.
Yeah. And by the way, we're going to go ahead and I want to talk about this next week. I'll put this on there.
I saw that. I didn't know why it was on there.
Yeah. Something very interesting. So.
Interesting.
I'll kick it off. 1 in 500 people have an ostomy. Isn't that insane?
That is insane.
I didn't think those numbers were that high. But anyways, I read an article, and if you don't know, I actually had an ostomy.
He is not
months.
saving this for next week.
And
it's coming right now.
And I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up next time. I'm going to. Here you go. Cliffhanger, or should I say shit hanger?
Oh my gosh!
Talk to you next week.
A turtle head.